Royal love story, how Leonor and Christian met and fell in love. Two royal houses, centuries apart. Then, fate intervened. A meeting no one planned. A connection no one could deny. And from that day, history quietly began to change. Their story begins far from the cameras, far from the palaces. Princess Leonor of Spain, still a teenager, still training for her future role, was invited to a discreet royal gathering in Scandinavia, a quiet diplomatic weekend meant to bring together Europe's young heirs. It was there, insiders say, that she first saw Prince Christian of Denmark. There was no fanfare, no press. Just two young people surrounded by tradition and expectation, sharing polite introductions. But something shifted that day. Witnesses recall that Leonor, usually formal and reserved, laughed, a genuine, unguarded laugh that surprised even her aides. Christian noticed. From that moment, the two found themselves gravitating toward each other, drawn by shared experiences only they could truly understand. What did they talk about that first night? Friends close to the families say the conversation was simple: music, school, the challenges of growing up under constant public scrutiny. But it was enough. Enough to plant a seed of connection that would grow over time. Months passed before they saw each other again. And yet, sources say they stayed in touch through carefully monitored messages and family-approved calls. It was a friendship first, steady and cautious, built on trust. When they met again during an official event in Norway, the bond deepened. They were seen speaking quietly during a reception, leaning in, smiling softly, a small moment that spoke volumes to those who noticed. But royal love stories are never simple. There were protocols to follow, advisors to consult, and questions about timing. Both Leonor and Christian had their studies, their military training, their future responsibilities. And yet, they kept finding ways to see each other, quietly, respectfully, never breaking the rules but always nurturing what they had begun. King Felipe and Queen Letizia were reportedly cautious at first. They wanted to be sure their daughter's feelings were genuine, that she was not just swept away by the romance of royal life. But over time, they saw how Christian treated Leonor, with respect, patience, and understanding. He never sought publicity, never gave interviews about her, never fueled gossip. That earned the trust of the Spanish royal household. Queen Margrethe of Denmark is said to have welcomed Leonor warmly, impressed by her poise and maturity. She understood what this relationship could mean not just for her grandson, but for the strengthening of ties between Denmark and Spain. The love between Leonor and Christian blossomed quietly, often away from cameras, but every now and then the world caught a glimpse. A shared smile at a state banquet. A quick exchange at a royal wedding. A glance that seemed to say more than words ever could. And with every public sighting, speculation grew. For Leonor, this was not just romance, it was also a test of balancing duty and heart. She knew that any relationship she entered into would eventually become a matter of state. And yet, those who know her say she handled it with remarkable grace, never letting it distract her from her studies or her training. As the years passed, the bond matured. What began as friendship became love, steady, respectful, enduring. Insiders say Christian visited Spain quietly on several occasions, meeting not just the king and queen but also sharing time with Princess Sofia, Leonor's sister. Sofia reportedly grew close to Christian, approving of the match and enjoying his company. But love in the royal world also faces pressure. There were moments of doubt, moments when schedules kept them apart for months. There were rumors, of course, as there always are. But the strength of their connection kept them anchored. And then came the turning point, a private holiday where the two families met in a less formal setting. It was here, according to those present, that Felipe and Letizia truly saw their daughter's happiness. Leonor was at ease, laughing, speaking freely, glowing. For a young woman who had spent her life measured against duty, this was a rare sight. The king reportedly told close friends later that he could see his daughter's future clearly that day, and he approved. From that moment, conversations about the future began in earnest. Quiet talks between the Spanish and Danish royal households laid the groundwork for what might one day be a historic union. Nothing official was announced, but the direction was set. When Christian turned 18, he began taking on more public roles, and speculation intensified. Was Leonor the one? Would there be an engagement soon? The palace remained silent, letting the story unfold naturally. But every gesture, every appearance, seemed to hint that the relationship was not just rumor, but something real and enduring. This love story is powerful not just because of who they are, but because of what it represents. Two young heirs, two future monarchs, finding love in a world where every move is watched. They have managed to keep it dignified, private, and meaningful, a rare feat in the age of instant news. And as we look forward, one question lingers: when will the world see the next chapter? Will there be a formal engagement announcement soon? Will their wedding one day unite two royal houses and bring Spain and Denmark together in a way unseen for centuries? Whatever happens next, one thing is certain: Leonor and Christian's love story has already become part of royal history. It is a story of patience, of quiet devotion, of two young people navigating the weight of crowns while holding onto something deeply human: love. And perhaps that is why the world is so captivated. Because beneath the titles, beneath the crowns, this is simply a story of a girl and a boy who found each other, chose each other, and are determined to write their own future. So we wait, with anticipation and hope. Because when the day finally comes that their love is celebrated publicly, it will not just be a royal event. It will be the culmination of a journey that began quietly, with a single meeting, and grew into something that captured the imagination of millions. Their story is not over. It is only beginning.